They waited for peace, but Earth brought a storm of steel ##. Part 1. The Galactic Consensus. The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council chambers stretched toward the artificial stars, their surfaces reflecting the gentle luminescence of a thousand peaceful worlds. Elder Zephyrian, his translucent form shimmering with ancient wisdom, raised his consciousness to address the assembled representatives. My cherished colleagues, his voice resonated through harmonic frequencies. We celebrate today our 1000th year of universal peace. No blood has been shed, no worlds have burned, no species has raised weapons against another. The chamber filled with harmonious vibrations of agreement. Ambassador Kethfer, his 6 arms gracefully folded in the traditional pose of contemplation, spoke from the diplomatic section. The meditation chambers have resolved 847 conflicts this century alone. Our evolution beyond primitive violence stands as the galaxy's greatest achievement. Elder Zephyrian's form pulsed with satisfaction. Indeed, and now we have discovered another species ready for our guidance. The 3rd planet of a yellow star system. They call themselves humans. Our preliminary scans indicate adequate technological development and sufficient intelligence for integration. The council members shared their collective joy through bioluminescent displays and telepathic harmonics. Another species would soon join their enlightened civilization. Prepare the harmony's light, Elder Zephyrian decreed. Ambassador Kethfer, you will extend our traditional offer of peace. As always, they will be grateful for our wisdom. The N number # Part 2. The failed invitation. The harmony's light emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Hull gleaming with inlaid precious metals and crystalline arrays that broadcasted peaceful intentions. Ambassador Kethfer stood in the communication chamber, his 4 eyes focused on the primitive blue-green world ahead. Greetings, species of the 3rd planet. He transmitted using their crude electromagnetic frequencies. I am Ambassador Kethfer of the Galactic Council. Your violent era ends today. Submit your weapons for disposal, accept our guidance, and join the civilized galaxy. You have 1 rotation of your planet to comply. The response came faster than expected. A human face appeared on the screen's stern features, weathered by years of military service. And eyes that held depth the ambassador couldn't fathom. I am Admiral Junho of the United Earth Defense Force, the human said. By whose authority do you make demands in our sovereign space? Kethfer's translator struggled with the concept of sovereignty as applied to a single species. Authority? We are the Galactic Council. We bring peace. Your weapons are relics of a barbaric past. Our weapons, Admiral Junho interrupted, his voice carrying the weight of conviction, are the guardians of our future. You have 30 minutes to leave our system. The transmission ended abruptly. Kethfer stared at the blank screen, his 6 arms trembling with confusion. In his 1000 years of diplomatic service, no species had ever refused the Council's generous offer. The concept was so foreign that his mind struggled to process it. The N number #. Part 3. The storm breaks. The Galactic Enforcement Fleet materialized in Sol System like a celestial parade. 300 vessels of impossible beauty, their hulls, crafted from singing crystals and living metal, designed to inspire, or rather than fear. Fleet Commander Veltar had never actually commanded a fleet in combat. No one had for over a millennium. Surely now they understand, he mused, watching the primitive planet through his ship's bio-optical sensors. Such beauty, such power displayed. Peacefully, they must. His thoughts shattered as proximity alarms screamed through the bridge. Ships were emerging from everywhere: asteroid fields, gas giant shadows, the darkness between worlds. Human vessels, angular and brutal, bristling with weapons that the galaxy had forgotten how to recognize. Captain Taiwan's voice crackled across all frequencies. Galactic Fleet, you are in violation of human space. This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately. Commander Veltar's harmonious voice trembled as he responded, We come in peace. Surely you can see the beauty of our vessels, the gentleness of our approach. We see ships of war disguised as art, came the cold reply. You have 60 seconds. the first human weapons fired with surgical precision. The elegant celestial harmony disappeared in a storm of kinetic projectiles and directed energy beams. The beautiful ships of the enforcement fleet, built for ceremony and intimidation, began dying in the cold efficiency of human warfare. Within hours, survivors fled toward the galactic core, carrying news that would shake 1,000 worlds. Humanity had not forgotten how to fight. Asterisk, asterisk, the end, asterisk, asterisk, hash, hash, part 4. The lesson in steel. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. Species that had evolved beyond violence for centuries suddenly faced an enemy that had never stopped preparing for war. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human fleets had appeared in key systems, not to conquer, but to demonstrate their reach. General Hejin stood in the holographic display of the captured Nexus Station, her uniform bearing the insignia of the Earth's Expeditionary Force. Behind her, the station's massive communication arrays, previously used for peaceful coordination, now broadcast humanity's message across the galaxy. "You mistake peace for weakness," she said, her voice carrying to every world in the Council. "You've forgotten that peace isn't the absence of war, it's the presence of those strong enough to maintain it." Elder Zephyrin's crystalline form flickered with distress. "We evolved beyond such primitiveness. We chose enlightenment over barbarism. Our meditation chambers, our harmony protocols." "Your meditation chambers," General Hygiene interrupted, "worked because no one challenged them. The moment a real threat appeared, your paradise crumbled like glass." On the tactical displays, human forces demonstrated their capabilities with methodical precision. Ship after ship of the Council's infrastructure fell to coordinated strikes. Not destroyed, captured, studied, understood. The humans fought with a terrifying combination of advanced technology and strategic thinking that the galaxy had completely forgotten existed. The end, hash, hash, part 5. The new equilibrium, the ruins of the Council chambers still smoldered as Fleet Admiral Wu Jin sat across from the surviving galactic leaders. The great crystalline spires lay shattered, but the conference table remained intact. Humanity had been precise in their destruction, eliminating symbols of false peace while preserving the foundation for true negotiation.
"Oh.
You could have destroyed us all," Elder Zephyrin said, his form barely maintaining coherence. "Your weapons, your ships, we are defenseless children before your storm of steel. Why did you stop?" Admiral Wu Jin folded his hands calmly, his expression softening slightly. "Because we didn't come to conquer. We came to teach. Your civilization is beautiful, your art's magnificent, your philosophy profound. But you forgot the most important lesson: paradise requires guardians." Ambassador Kethfer, his 6 arms now trembling with age and shock, whispered, "What do you want from us? What tribute? What submission?" "Continue being what you are," Admiral Wu Jin replied. "Create art, explore philosophy, push the boundaries of science and culture, build your meditation chambers, practice your harmony protocols. But understand that your golden age will now be protected by those who never forgot that sometimes the only way to preserve peace is to be prepared for war." The treaty was signed in the shadow of Earth's warships. The Galactic Council would continue to govern their peaceful worlds, but humanity would stand watch at the borders of civilization. The galaxy's 1,000-year peace would endure. But now it rested on foundations of steel rather than naive hope, as the human fleet took their positions throughout the galaxy. The other species slowly returned to their peaceful pursuits, finally, understanding that their paradise had always required someone willing to guard it with strength. The end, the harmony's light drifted through the void like a jewel. Against black velvet, its hull shimmered with thousands of precious stones and living crystals that pulsed with soft, welcoming light. Ambassador Kethfer had chosen this ship carefully. Its beauty had never failed to inspire awe and immediate surrender from primitive species. Standing in the communication chamber, Kethfer adjusted his ceremonial robes and checked his translation matrix one final time. His 4 eyes studied the blue-green world spinning peacefully in the distance. Such a small planet, yet the energy readings suggested a surprisingly advanced civilization lurked beneath those swirling clouds. "Begin transmission," he commanded his aide, a young crystalline being whose form sparkled with nervous energy. The quantum communicators hummed to life, converting Kethfer's harmonic speech into the crude electromagnetic waves these humans apparently used. How quaint, he thought. They still relied on such primitive technology. "Greetings, species of the third planet," Kethfer's voice carried across the void with practiced diplomacy. "I am Ambassador Kethfer of the Galactic Council. Your violent era ends today. Submit your weapons for disposal, accept our guidance, and join the civilized galaxy. You have one rotation of your planet to comply." He folded his 6 arms in the traditional pose of benevolent authority and waited. Response would come quickly. It always did. First shock, then gratitude, then eager compliance. He had performed this ritual 847 times across the galaxy. Each species had been thankful for the Council's wisdom, but the response, when it came, was not what he expected. A human face materialized on the screen, angular features carved from determination, dark eyes that seemed to look right through him, and an expression that made Kethfer's translator circuits struggle to find equivalent emotions in his databanks. "I am Admiral Minho of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said. His voice carried no fear, no wonder, no gratitude. Only cold, professional attention. "By whose authority do you make demands in our sovereign space?" Kethfer blinked all. For eyes in sequence, a sign of deep confusion among his people. The translator was having difficulty with several concepts demands registered as generous offers. Sovereign space came through as an untranslatable concept that made no sense when applied to a single species. Authority? Kethfer's voice carried a note of gentle amusement. "We are the Galactic Council. We bring peace to the galaxy. We offer you wisdom accumulated over 1,000 years of universal harmony. Your weapons are relics of a barbaric past." "Our weapons?" Admiral Minho interrupted, his voice cutting through Kethfer's practiced speech like a blade through silk, "are the guardians of our future. You have 30 minutes to leave our system." The transmission ended with an abrupt click that echoed through the chamber like a gunshot. Kethfer stared at the blank screen, his 6 arms trembling slightly. In his 1,000 years of diplomatic service, spanning dozens of species and hundreds of worlds, no one had ever simply ... refused. His aide approached carefully, her crystalline form flickering with concern. "Ambassador, perhaps there was a translation error? The concept of refusing the Council's offer does not exist in our databases." Kethfer's primary mind raced through possibilities while his secondary consciousness reviewed the encounter. Humans' facial expressions, the tone of voice, the immediate termination of communication, none of it followed any known pattern of first contact. "Run a deep scan of their system," he ordered, his voice losing its ceremonial calm. "I want to know what gives them such confidence." The Harmony's Light S sensors, designed more for aesthetic appreciation than military analysis, swept across the Sol system. What they found made Kethfer's blood run cold. The asteroid belt wasn't just filled with rocks, it was filled with ships. The gas giants weren't just swirling storms. They were hiding massive installations. Even the small rocky worlds showed signs of military fortification. By the first light, his aide whispered, her form flickering faster now. "They have so many weapons, so many ships. How is this possible? How can a species maintain such military capability in a time of peace?" Kethfer's mind struggled with the concept. His people had evolved beyond violence so completely that they had forgotten it was even possible to maintain weapons during peacetime. The very idea was alien, like suggesting someone might keep poison in their food storage. "Send a message to the Council," he said finally, his voice heavy with uncertainty. "Tell them we may have encountered something ... unprecedented." But even as he spoke, he knew his words would be inadequate. How could he explain to beings who had forgotten the very concept of war that somewhere in this distant system humans had been preparing for it all along? The 30 minutes passed in tense silence. Then, without another word, the Harmony's light turned and slipped back into hyperspace, carrying news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Behind them, Admiral Minho stood on the bridge of the hidden fortress that had been tracking them since their arrival. His dark eyes watched the alien ship disappear, and he allowed himself a thin smile. "Signal all commands," he said quietly. "They'll be back, and when they come, they won't come alone." The end, the Galactic Enforcement Fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a parade of gods. 300 ships spread across the Sol system in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with impossible beauty. Each vessel was a work of art, crystalline spires that sang in harmony, living metal that rippled like water, and gem-studded arrays that painted the void in colors that had no names. Fleet. Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the eternal serenity, watching the distant blue planet through sensors that turned starlight into music. His elongated form swayed gently as he absorbed the peaceful vibrations of his fleet. This was how civilized beings displayed power: through beauty, through harmony, through the gentle magnificence of 1,000 years of peace. "Surely now they understand," he whispered to his bridge crew, his voice carrying the melodic tones of his people. "No primitive species could look upon such splendor and not feel the call to join our enlightened civilization." His tactical officer, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with agreement. "Commander, the humans must be overwhelmed by our generous display. 300 vessels of peace, each one a testament to what they could become." Veltar nodded, his 3 eyes focusing on the small world ahead. In his 900 years of service, he had never actually commanded a fleet in battle. No one had. The very concept was as foreign to him as breathing water. The enforcement fleet existed to intimidate through beauty, to convince through overwhelming displays of peaceful power. "Begin the standard intimidation protocol," he ordered. "Let them see what 1,000 years of harmony can create." The fleet moved forward in perfect synchronization, a combined singing creating a symphony that could be heard across dimensional barriers. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering and art, designed to inspire awe and immediate surrender. The crystalline formations caught and reflected light in patterns that induced feelings of peace and submission in most species. But something was wrong. The tactical displays began lighting up with warnings that Veltar had never seen before. Red symbols appeared faster than his peaceful mind could process. His bridge crew, trained for ceremony rather than combat, stared at their instruments with growing confusion. "Commander," his tactical officer's voice cracked with uncertainty. "I'm detecting ... movement ships. Many ships." Veltar's 3 eyes widened as the truth revealed itself. The asteroid belt was alive. What had appeared to be floating rocks were now moving, shedding their disguises to reveal angular, brutal shapes bristling with weapons. The gas giants' moons were opening like flowers, revealing hidden bases and launching platforms. Even the darkness between worlds seemed to come alive with ships that had been waiting, watching, preparing. "Impossible," Veltar breathed. "No species maintains such. He couldn't even finish the thought. The concept of hiding weapons, of preparing for war during peacetime, was so alien to his 1,000-year-old civilization that his mind struggled to accept what his sensors were showing him. The human ships were nothing like the graceful vessels of the enforcement fleet. They were blocks of metal and ceramic, covered in armor plating and weapon systems. They moved with mechanical precision, forming attack formations that the galaxy had forgotten ever existed. They were ugly, functional, absolutely terrifying. Captain Taewon's voice cut through the harmonious frequencies of the fleet like a blade through silk. "Galactic Fleet, you are in violation of human space. This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately." Commander Veltar's harmonious voice trembled as he responded, his words carrying the confusion of a being who had never faced actual resistance. "We come in peace. Surely you can see the beauty of our vessels, the gentleness of our approach. We offer you the wisdom of ages, the harmony of, we see ships of war disguised as art," came the cold reply. Captain Taewon's voice carried no appreciation for beauty. No wonder at their magnificent display. "You have 60 seconds. War? But we can't." Veltar's words dissolved into harmonic static as his mind tried to process the impossible. His ships were works of art, designed to inspire and intimidate through beauty. The humans saw them as weapons. The 60 seconds passed in a heartbeat. The first human weapons fired with surgical precision, streams of metal projectiles moving at impossible speeds, beams of energy that cut through crystalline hulls like they were made of paper. The elegant celestial harmony, a ship that had taken 50 years to grow and shape, disappeared in a storm of kinetic destruction. Veltar watched in horror as his beautiful fleet began to die. Ships that had never been designed for combat, crews that had never trained for war, weapons that were more art than function, all of it crumbling before the cold efficiency of human warfare. "Retreat," he screamed, his harmonious voice breaking into discordant notes of panic. "All ships retreat." Emergency jump to hyperspace. But the humans had planned for this too. Some ships escaped, their beautiful hulls scarred and broken. Others were captured, their crews too shocked to resist. The survivors fled toward the galactic core, carrying news that would shake 1,000 worlds. Humanity had not forgotten how to fight. Asterisk, asterisk. The end asterisk, asterisk. The Great Council chambers had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the crystalline halls, their voices creating a symphony of panic that would have been beautiful if it weren't so terrifying. Elder Zephyrian's ancient form flickered at the center of the chamber, his translucent body struggling to maintain coherence as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. "The humans have taken the Nexus Station," announced Ambassador Kethfer, his 6 arms trembling as he read from a data crystal. "They appeared without warning, disabled our defenses, and captured the facility without destroying it." A wave of harmonic distress swept through the chamber. The Nexus Station was more than just a communications hub. It was the heart of galactic civilization, the place where peaceful coordination had been maintained for centuries. Its capture was unthinkable, impossible, yet undeniably real. "How?" whispered Counselor Velthani, her bioluminescent patches flickering with confusion. "The station was protected by our most advanced systems, the meditation fields, the harmony. Barriers, they walked through them like they weren't there," Kethfer replied, his voice hollow. "Our peaceful defenses meant nothing to them. They didn't even seem to notice them." Elder Zephyrian raised his consciousness, and the chamber fell silent. His voice, when it came, was like crystal breaking. "Show us." The holographic display activated, and suddenly the chamber was filled with the image of the captured Nexus Station. But instead of the gentle, flowing architecture they knew, the station now bristled with angular human modifications. Weapon emplacements where gardens had been. Communication arrays where meditation chambers had stood, and in the center of it all stood a human. General Sujin appeared in the hologram as if she were standing among them. Her uniform was simple, functional, bearing the insignia of something called the Earth's Expeditionary Force. Her face was stern, but not cruel, her eyes holding a depth that the Council found disturbing. She looked like someone who had seen war and learned from it. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the station's hijacked communication systems. I'm General Sujin of the Earth's Expeditionary Force. We need to talk." The Council members recoiled as if struck. Primitive species, addressing them directly, without ceremony or respect for their ancient protocols. It was unthinkable. "You mistake peace for weakness," General Sujin continued, her words reaching every world in the galaxy through the station's massive arrays. "You've forgotten that peace isn't the absence of war, it's the presence of those strong enough to maintain it." Elder Zephyrian's form pulsed with indignation. "We evolved beyond such primitiveness. We chose enlightenment over barbarism. Meditation chambers have resolved conflicts peacefully for 1,000 years." "Your meditation chambers," General Sujin replied, her voice carrying a note of something that might have been pity, "work because no one challenged them. You chose vulnerability over strength. Your 1,000-year peace existed because nothing threatened it. The moment a real threat appeared, your paradise crumbled." As she spoke, the holographic display shifted to show tactical readouts from across the galaxy. Human fleets had appeared in dozens of key systems, not as conquerors but as teachers. They moved with precision that spoke of centuries of military planning. striking at communication nodes, supply lines, and coordination centers. But they weren't destroying these targets. They were capturing them, studying them, understanding them. Each successful operation revealed more about galactic weaknesses while teaching the humans about their enemies' capabilities. "Watch and learn," General Sujin said as the display showed human forces taking control of another station. The attack was surgical, precise, overwhelming. The station's defenders, trained for peaceful resolution, surrendered without understanding what had happened to them. Counselor Velthani's patches flickered frantically. "They're not even trying to kill us. They're teaching us." "Teaching us what?" Elder Zephyrian asked, though his voice suggested he already knew the answer. "That peace, without strength, is just a beautiful lie," General Sujin replied. "You created a paradise, but you forgot that paradise needs guardians. You built a 1,000-year golden age, but you never asked what would happen when someone who didn't share your values came knocking." The tactical displays continued their grim lesson. Human forces demonstrated capabilities that shouldn't have been possible: coordination across impossible distances, weapons that the galaxy had forgotten how to build, strategies that combined advanced technology with an understanding of warfare that had been lost to time. "We don't want to rule you," General Sujin said, her voice softening slightly. "We don't want to destroy your civilization or end your golden age, but we're going to teach you something. Your ancestors forgot that peace is not weakness, but peace without strength is vulnerability." The hologram shifted one final time, showing human ships taking positions throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as something else entirely. Guardians, protectors, the strong arm that would allow the galaxy's peaceful paradise to continue. "Your choice is simple," General Sujin concluded. "Learn this lesson willingly, or learn it the hard way, but you will learn it. The galaxy needs both philosophers and warriors, and you've forgotten how to be the latter." The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. Their 1,000-year paradise would continue, but now it would rest on foundations of steel rather than naive hope. Asterisk, asterisk, the end. Asterisk, asterisk. The smoke still rose from the broken spires of the council chambers, but the destruction was precise, almost surgical. The great crystalline towers that had reached toward artificial stars for 1,000 years now lay in carefully arranged ruins. Yet the ancient conference table, carved from a single piece of living stone, remained untouched at the center of it all. Fleet Admiral Jinwu sat quietly across from the surviving galactic leaders, his hands folded on the table's smooth surface. His uniform was simple, bearing the wear of a soldier who had seen real battle, not the ceremonial conflicts of the past millennium. Behind him, through the shattered dome, the angular shapes of human warships hung in the sky like dark promises. Elder Zephyrian's form flickered weakly, his crystalline body struggling to maintain solid shape. The ancient being had ruled the galaxy for centuries, but now he looked like a candle guttering in the wind. His 3 primary consciousness centers pulsed with exhaustion and something he had never felt before: genuine fear. "You could have destroyed us all," he said, his harmonic voice reduced to barely a whisper. "Your weapons, your ships, your terrible efficiency. We are children before your storm of steel. Why did you stop?" Admiral Jinwu's expression remained calm, but his eyes held depths that spoke of hard-won wisdom. "Because we didn't come to conquer, we came to teach. Your civilization is beautiful, your art's magnificent, your philosophy profound, but you forgot the most important lesson of all." "What lesson?" Ambassador Cuthbert asked, his 6 arms trembling. With age and shock, the diplomat who had once commanded respect across 1,000 worlds now looked like a broken toy. "That paradise requires guardians," Jinwu replied simply. "You built something wonderful here. A galaxy without war, without violence, without the suffering that comes from conflict. But you forgot that such peace doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists because someone is willing to protect it." The other survivors stirred uneasily. "Counselor." Velthani's bioluminescent patches flickered with confusion. "But we evolved beyond such primitive needs. We chose enlightenment over barbarism. Our meditation chambers, your meditation chambers, work because no one ever challenged them." Ginwu interrupted gently. You created a paradise, but you never asked what would happen when someone who didn't share your values came knocking. You assumed your peace was permanent, but peace is never permanent. Something that must be earned, maintained, and protected every single day. Elder Zephyrian's form pulsed with something that might have been understanding. Do you want from us? What tribute? What submission? Jinwu shook his head. Continue being what you are. Create art that makes the soul soar. Explore philosophy that pushes the boundaries of thought. Build sciences that unlock the mysteries of the universe. Your contributions to civilization are invaluable, and we don't want to lose them.
Oh.
Then, what? Kethfer whispered. Understand that your golden age will now be protected by those who never forgot that sometimes. The only way to preserve peace is to be prepared for war, Jinwu said. We will be your guardians, your protectors, your shield against the darkness that exists beyond your borders. The treaty was simple, written in language that even the most peaceful species could understand. The Galactic Council would continue to govern their worlds, continue their endless pursuit of harmony and enlightenment, but humanity would stand watch at the borders of civilization, ready to face whatever threats might come. As the documents were signed, Jinwu looked out at the human fleet spreading across the galaxy. Those ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and gas giant shadows were now taking their positions openly. No longer hiding, no longer pretending. They were guardians now, and guardians didn't need to hide. Your people will hate us at first, Ginwu said quietly. They'll see us as violent primitives who destroyed their perfect world, but in time, they'll understand. When the first real threat comes from beyond our borders, when something appears that your meditation chambers can't resolve, they'll be grateful that someone was watching. Elder Zephyrian's form had stabilized somewhat, and his voice carried a note of resigned acceptance. How long will this protection last? As long as it's needed, Jinwu replied. Maybe forever. Maybe until you learn to protect yourselves again. Or maybe until something comes along that's stronger than both of us. The human admiral stood, his simple uniform a stark contrast to the flowing robes and crystalline forms around him. Your paradise will continue. Your children will grow up in peace, create art, explore the stars, and push the boundaries of what's possible. But they'll do it knowing that someone is watching the darkness, ready to fight the battles they can't fight themselves. As Jinwu left the ruined chambers, the galactic leaders sat in silence. Their 1,000-year golden age would continue, but now it rested on foundations of steel rather than naive hope. The galaxy's peace would endure. It's protected by those who had never forgotten that sometimes the greatest act of love is the willingness to be the monster that others don't have to be above them. Human warships took their positions among the stars. Silent sentinels watching over a paradise that had finally learned the price of peace. The end.